If you believe even one of these myths about LANTITE numeracy, it could be costing you confidence and hence marks. Each week I speak to pre-service teachers throughout Australia who are stressed about this test. So today I want to calmly clear up 5 of the biggest LANTITE numeracy myths. Let's get going. When students hear 30% or the top 30%, they immediately think ranking, which is understandable. But that is you comparing yourself to the other candidates in the room or the other candidates online. And that's not how the benchmark works. The standard is aligned to the top 30% of Australian adults. So that could be your cousin, that could be your next door neighbor. You're not competing with anyone who is taking the assessment at the same time as you. And due to that, that erases the myth that there's only a certain number of people that can pass each time. So remove the competition mindset because it's not helpful and it's not going to help you focus on the task at hand. So next, let's clear something up that causes panic after a first attempt. And that's I've got to pass this in a certain number of attempts. This is no longer true. In 2025, this was removed, and now you can have as many attempts as you need. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand that you probably want to get it over and done with so you can focus on the rest of your course, but putting that stress on yourself that you have to pass it a specific time is only going to make you feel more anxious and not help you focus. A lot of people think that if you've passed one component, and then you fail the other, that you have to take both sections again, and that's not true. So if it helps you, maybe focus on passing the literacy, and once you've got that, then focus on the numeracy, because that way you can really focus on that specific part of LANTITE assessment, and you don't need to pass both on the same sitting. A lot of students think that the test is evenly spread across all of the strands, so that being number, algebra, statistics, geometry, and that's really not true. So you're more talking that 55% of this assessment is to do with your number skills, whether that be fractions, whether that be decimals, whether that be percentages, whether it be ratios. So this is the thing that you should really be focusing on having a really, really strong grasp and knowledge of, because it will also help you in the other strands as well. To give you an example, it's going to be very hard to do similar shapes, which would be considered geometry, if you don't have a understanding of ratio. It's going to be very tricky to calculate how much paint you need in order to do a wall in a house if you don't have an understanding of number. So make sure that this is where you are putting most of your focus before moving on to the other strands, because a lot of people spend a long time focusing on, let's say, statistics, thinking it's going to be an equal amount of their score, and it's simply not. So myth 4 kind of leads on from myth 3, and that's that you need a advanced knowledge of algebra. You might have often heard that the LANTITE numeracy section is compared to year 9 mathematics. Now, I am currently a WA teacher, and there's a little bit of year 10 content, but that's when it comes to statistics. I would say the number skills are a year 9 level, but the algebra is actually probably slightly less. So if you're ever hearing that you need to know about quadratic equations or calculus or anything crazy like that, which I've heard at times, that's really not true. When it comes to the algebra, you need to have a basic understanding of the language that's being used. So if it's, for example, 2a plus 3, you need to know that means whatever a is, times it by 2 and add 3. But it doesn't go much further beyond that. You basically are given a formula and you need to know how to use it. So if you was given a formula which helps you calculate interest on a loan, you need to know how to be able to use that formula. Don't buy into any of the hype that is saying that you need to learn some really complex algebra and double-sided equations or anything like that. And finally, myth 5, a trap that I see often, and that's the over-reliance on formulas. Now, don't get me wrong, having a cheat sheet or a formula sheet is a handy method of revision, but if you don't understand why those formulas are working, or when you need to apply them to a specific situation, all it's going to take is a slightly change of the wording of a specific question, and that's going to throw you completely. So although I agree that formulas are helpful, And I understand that having everything on one page is a good summary for people and helps them revise things quicker. Please don't think that just because you've written a bunch of formulas, it's going to save you if you're not doing anything else or you're not looking at why these formulas are working in the first place. So let's take your percentages and comparing them to fractions. Having a good understanding of that will teach you why you can do these shortcuts. And fundamentally, let's address the elephant in the room. You're probably going to go on and use these skills later in your teaching career anyway. So why not get a stronger understanding of why they work now? And believe me, I've been there. There's no judgment. I've had to teach myself stuff, even as a maths teacher. When it's come to some concepts, I've gone, oh, I only know that by rote learning. And it's not great. It will catch you out. And just an extra tip, make sure that you are familiar with the calculator that you will be using. So if you've decided to sit the assessment online, that's fantastic, but make sure that you have practice using the online calculator. If you're doing it in person, then whatever calculator you have, really know its functionality and what each button does, because that is going to save you some time as well. I think a lot of people get a bit stuck there because they've been practicing with something else, and then they've got the additional stress of having to operate this new tool, which, can cause some distractions here and there. So when we remove these myths and focus on the strands, which are the most important, the test becomes far more manageable. And then you can really focus on having a structured plan so that you can see your improvement as time goes on. If you are a pre-service teacher and you would like some more guided support which focuses specifically on the content that you need for this assessment, I've actually designed a structured numeracy course which goes through all the types of questions that you could be asked and most importantly focuses on the content that you need instead of building anxiety and introducing concepts that are not going to come up. I'm currently offering a 5-day free trial on this course so you can see whether it's for you. To join, all you need to do is check the course description down below and there will be a link which will directly take you there. I hope this helped, and let me know in the comments which myths surprised you the most, or feel free to add any others that you've heard and we can debunk them together. And finally, best of luck for whenever the LANTITE assessment is for you. With some structured revision, I'm sure you'll get there. All the best.